Welcome back for episode 2. We left off with Goku and Bulma joining forces after a sudden collision on a mountain road, sparking the beginning of the hunt for the Dragon Balls. Now, the dust has settled and the travelers are preparing for their first night under the stars. If you enjoy these, don't forget to like and subscribe. We find ourselves now in a place that feels very far from the lush green embrace of Mount Paozu. The sun is beginning to dip below the horizon, painting the sky in bruised shades of violet and deep burnt orange. Our travelers, the girl with the turquoise hair and the boy with the tail, have arrived in a landscape that is less a valley and more a graveyard of giants. This is the Valley of Skulls. It is a desolate place. The rocks here do not jut up in jagged peaks. They are eroded, smoothed by centuries of wind into shapes that look suspiciously like human skulls. Hollow sockets stare blankly across the ravine. The wind whistles through them, creating a low, mournful flute song that serves as the only soundtrack to the evening. It is the kind of place where you instinctively pull your coat tighter, feeling the isolation settle into your bones. But Bulma, our representative of modern comfort, is tired. The thrill of the motorcycle ride has faded into the ache of the saddle. She brings the bike to a halt, the tires crunching softly on the loose gravel. The engine dies with a sputtering sigh, and suddenly, the silence of the valley rushes in to fill the void. Goku hops off the back of the bike. He lands with a springy energy that seems limitless. He looks around at the skull-shaped rocks, his hands on his hips. To him, this is just another backyard. To Bulma, it is a terrifying wasteland. She shivers, her eyes darting to the darkening shadows. It is time, she decides, to make camp. She dismounts and walks to a flat patch of hard-packed earth. She reaches for the small case on her belt, the magic box of the modern age. She opens it with a click that sounds startlingly loud in the quiet valley. Her fingers, manicured and precise, hover over the rows of capsules until she finds the one she wants. It is labeled with the number 1. To Goku, watching with his head tilted to the side like a confused puppy, this ritual is baffling. Why is she playing with pills? Is she sick? He watches as she holds the capsule up, her thumb hovering over the activation switch. She presses it. There's a tiny, almost imperceptible electronic chirp. Then, with a casual underhand toss, she throws it onto the empty ground. Let us pause to appreciate the sheer impossibility of what happens next. The capsule hits the dirt. For a split second, nothing happens. Then the air itself seems to tear open. There is a sound, not an explosion, but a heavy, rushing whoomp, like a giant quilt being shaken out in a closed room. A cloud of white smoke erupts, thick and opaque, smelling faintly of sulfur and ozone. It billows outward, swirling in the twilight. As the smoke clears, drifting away on the valley breeze, a shape solidifies. It is not a tent. It is not a lean-to. It is a house. Specifically, it is a white, dome-shaped structure, sleek and smooth like an egg. It has a red roof, circular windows that glow with the reflection of the setting sun, and a sturdy front door. It sits there on the dirt, a fully formed piece of suburbia dropped into the middle of a nightmare landscape. Goku does not understand architecture. He does not understand pocket dimensions. He sees a giant white beast appearing from nowhere. His instincts, sharpened by years of fighting tigers and bears, kick in immediately. He drops into a crouch, baring his teeth. "It's a monster!" he yells, his voice echoing off the skull rocks. "Or a witch's trick." He attacks the house. He leaps forward, striking the white wall with his small, iron-hard fist. There is a dull thud. The house does not bleed. It does not roar. It just sits there, being a house. Goku circles it, his tail lashing back and forth in agitation. He pokes the wall. He sniffs the doorframe. He is the noble savage, confronting the inexplicable, trying to find the throat of a creature that has no neck. Bulma sighs. It is the sigh of a woman who realizes she is babysitting a force of nature. She ignores his war dance and walks to the front door, turning the handle. "Come on inside, Goku," she calls out, her voice weary. "It's not a monster. It's home." Goku follows her, wary and suspicious, stepping over the threshold as if entering the mouth of a dragon. But inside, the dragon is surprisingly cozy. The interior of the capsule house is a triumph of retro-futuristic design. The floor is checkered tile, cool and clean. The furniture is curved and orange, hovering on thin metal legs in that classic mid-century modern style. There is a kitchen with a chrome refrigerator that hums with a steady, comforting vibration. There is a smell here, not of dust and old bones, but of lemon cleaner and recycled air. Goku stands in the center of the living room, overwhelmed. His senses are overloaded. The air is too still. The ground is too flat. And then Bulma does something that shatters his world completely. She flips a switch on the wall. Instantly the room is flooded with light. It doesn't come from a fire. It doesn't come from the sun. It pours down from glass bulbs in the ceiling, harsh and brilliant. Goku jumps, shielding his eyes. He stares up at the bulbs, his mouth agape. "You trapped the sun," he whispers, awestruck. "You caught the sunlight and put it in glass." Bulma chuckles, kicking off her red shoes. "It's electricity, Goku. Light bulbs." But the wonders and the horrors are not over. Bulma walks over to a boxy wooden cabinet with a glass screen. She turns a dial. The screen flickers to life, static buzzing like a hive of the bees before resolving into an image. It is a variety show. There are people dancing, singing, smiling. Goku approaches the television slowly. He creeps up on it. He sees tiny people trapped inside the box. He presses his face against the glass, trying to see past the image. He runs around to the back of the set, looking for the door, looking for the way out for these poor, imprisoned souls. "How did they get in there?" he asks, knocking on the wood casing. "Are they hungry? Do they need help?" It is a moment of pure, unadulterated innocence. The background of the room is filled with details that ground us in this specific universe. A poster on the wall depicts Arale Norimaki, the robot girl from a nearby village, smiling with her own brand of chaos. It is a nod to the fact that this world is interconnected, a tapestry of whimsy. But for Goku, the TV is a terrifying magic trick. He is witnessing the passive consumption of media, people staring at life rather than living it, and he finds it baffling. Bulma leaves him to his confusion. She has a priority that overrides all others: hygiene. She has spent the day riding through dust and dinosaur breath. She wants, more than anything, to be clean. She walks into the bathroom and turns the tap. Steam begins to rise, filling the small tiled room with warmth. She tests the water, satisfied. Then she returns to the living room, where Goku is still trying to communicate with the news anchor on the screen. She looks at him, really looks at him. He is covered in a layer of mountain grime. His GI is dusty. He smells of river water, fish, and forest floor. "You're filthy," she declares. It is not an observation, it is a judgment. She grabs him by the back of his gi. "Bath time." Goku resists. "Bath?" he asks. "I don't need a bath. I swam in the river." The struggle that ensues is a masterpiece of fluid animation, slowed down for our observation. Bulma drags him across the floor. Goku digs his heels into the tiles, his fingernails leaving no mark on the futuristic material. He flails, not with malice, but with the panic of a cat being taken to the vet. He is a creature of the wild. He does not understand the concept of soaking in hot water for pleasure. To him, water is for fishing or drinking. But Bulma is stronger in will, if not in body. She manages to wrestle him into the bathroom. The air here is thick with steam and the scent of floral soap. She strips him down. There is no modesty here, just the ruthless efficiency of a nurse dealing with a difficult patient. Goku stands there, naked and shivering slightly, not from cold, but from vulnerability. She shoves him toward the tub. "Get in!" Goku climbs over the rim. The water is hot. "It's boiling," he complains. "You're trying to cook me." "It's relaxing," Bulma shouts back. She grabs a bottle of shampoo. "Now sit still." Goku tries to climb out. Bulma reacts with the precision of a sniper. She throws the shampoo bottle. It sails through the steam, a pink plastic missile, and bonks Goku gently on the head. Then comes the conditioner, then the soap bar. It is a bombardment of hygiene products. Goku is forced back into the water, defeated by the arsenal of cleanliness. He sits there, water up to his chin, looking grumpy. Bulma begins to scrub him. She takes a sponge and attacks the dirt on his back. And as she scrubs, the bubbles parting around his small form, she notices something. The tail. It is floating in the water, brown and furry, twitching independently. In the pilot episode, the tail was just a visual quirk. But here, in the intimate, quiet setting of the bath, it demands an explanation. It is a biological anomaly that breaks the symmetry of the human form. Bulma stops scrubbing. She stares at it. She reaches out and touches it. It is wet, slick like an otter's fur. "Is it real?" she asks, her voice tinged with a mix of curiosity and revulsion. "Or is it glued on?" Goku turns his head, soap suds clinging to his spiky hair. He looks offended. "Of course it's real," he says. He flexes a muscle we don't have, and the tail slaps the water, sending a spray of hot droplets onto Bulma's face. "I can support my whole body with it. Look." He starts to lift himself up by the tail, but Bulma pushes him back down. "Don't. Just sit." She looks at him with new eyes. This isn't just a strange boy. He is something else entirely. "Where did you come from anyway?" Goku sinks lower in the bubbles. The steam softens his expression. "My grandpa Gohan found me in the woods," he says softly. "He raised me. He taught me everything." There is a sudden stillness in the bathroom. The slapstick fades. We get a glimpse of the loneliness at the core of this character. An orphan, abandoned in the deep woods, raised by a martial arts master and left alone again when the master died. His strength is not just biological, it is a legacy. The tale is a connection to a past he doesn't remember, a heritage that is literally alien to this world. But the moment of pathos cannot last long in this universe. The pendulum must swing back to the absurd. Goku, now clean and feeling a bit more charitable toward the hot water, looks at Bulma. She is scrubbing her own arms, the steam clinging to her skin. Goku's eyes travel down. He has never seen a female up close before. His biological knowledge is limited to the distinctions between bucks and does, roosters and hens. He looks at her chest. He sees the curves. And his brain, trying to map these new shapes onto his existing understanding of anatomy, makes a connection that is logically sound but socially disastrous. "Hey," he says, pointing with a wet finger. "Why is your butt on your chest?" Bulma freezes. The sponge drops from her hand into the water with a soft plop. She looks down at herself. She looks at Goku. His face is open, honest, and completely devoid of lechery. He is asking a genuine medical question. He thinks she is deformed. He thinks her anatomy has migrated. You? Bulma stammers. Her face turns the color of a ripe tomato. You stupid little monkey. She grabs a bucket of hot water and throws it at him. Goku sputters, flailing in the sudden deluge. What? What did I say? He cries, genuinely confused. It looks like a butt. This is the friction that drives the show. Not good versus evil, not yet, but the friction between absolute innocence and societal norms. Goku is a blank slate, and Bulma is furiously trying to write the rules of civilization on him with a sponge and a bucket. Eventually the bath is over. They emerge, dried off and dressed. Goku is wearing a fresh orange jai, smelling like lavender. Bulma is in her pajamas, still fuming slightly. It is time for dinner. Bulma goes to the kitchen. She opens a cupboard and pulls out another capsule. Poof. A steaming plate of food appears. But wait, it isn't quite right. She hands Goku a bowl. He looks into it. It is instant ramen. Or perhaps freeze-dried space food, rehydrated. The noodles are uniform, crimped and pale. The vegetables are tiny, hard cubes that haven't quite softened. The meat, if it is meat, is a brown, spongy square. Goku sniffs it. He wrinkles his nose. What is this? It's dinner, Bulma says, blowing on her own noodles. It's delicious, high in protein, perfectly balanced. Goku takes a bite. He chews. He swallows. He looks at her with the expression of someone who has just eaten wet cardboard. This isn't food, he declares. He sets the bowl down on the pristine, mid-century table. There's no life in it. He stands up. He walks to the door. Where are you going? Bulma asks, spoon halfway to her mouth. Goku opens the door. The night air rushes in, cool and crisp, carrying the scent of the valley. The wind whistles through the skull rocks. Somewhere in the distance, a wolf howls. I'm gonna get real food, Goku says. He grabs his power pole. I'm gonna hunt. He steps out into the darkness, leaving the electric light and the safety of the capsule house behind. He prefers the cold wind and the danger of the hunt to the processed safety of the modern world. Bulma watches him go, shaking her head. She eats her noodles alone, illuminated by the artificial sun, while outside the wild boy disappears into the shadows of the skulls, looking for something with a heartbeat. The night is fully set in now. The valley is a landscape of ink and silver moonlight, and out there, in the dark, watching the light of the capsule house, eyes are opening. But that is a story for the next part of our journey. For now, let the image of the glowing white dome in the dark valley settle in your mind. A tiny island of light in a prehistoric sea. We leave the domestic squabbling of Goku and Bulma for a moment, letting the camera of our mind pan away, traveling miles and miles across this peculiar landscape. The terrain shifts beneath us. We leave the rocky valleys and enter a place that defies botanical logic. We are in a forest, but not of pine or oak. We are drifting through a forest of mushrooms, but these are not the small, shy fungi you might find hidden in the damp earth of a garden. These are titans. They are the size of skyscrapers, their caps spreading out like massive, fleshy umbrellas, blocking out the starlight. Some are spotted with angry reds and bruised purples. Others are pale and ghostly, glowing with a faint bioluminescent pulse. The air here is thick with spores, heavy and humid, smelling of wet earth and ancient growth. It is a psychedelic landscape, a fever dream of nature. Silent save for the occasional drip of condensation falling from 100 feet in the air to splash against the mossy ground below. Nestled within this fungal metropolis is a castle. It is an architectural contradiction, a confused building that cannot decide what it wants to be. It has the high, brooding spires of a Gothic cathedral, reaching up as if to scratch the underside of the giant mushroom caps. The stone is dark, perhaps damp with the perpetual moisture of the forest, but grafted onto this ancient stonework is a network of industrial piping. Thick metal tubes snake around the turrets, venting steam into the night air. Satellite dishes rotate slowly, scanning the horizon with mechanical indifference. It is a fortress that speaks of a ruler who loves the aesthetic of the past, but relies entirely on the technology of the future. It is here that we meet the threat, if one can call it that, of our story. Inside the castle, the air is likely cold, the kind of stone cold that seeps into your bones. We find ourselves in a dining hall that is comically vast. The ceiling vanishes into shadow. The walls are lined with banners that hang limp in the still air, and in the center of this cavernous room sits a table. It is long, absurdly long. It stretches across the floor like a wooden highway. At the far, far end of this table sits a creature who seems far too small for the chair he occupies. This is Emperor Pilaf. He is a small being, blue-skinned and slight, with the proportions of a child but the weathered expression of a frustrated bureaucrat. He wears a costume that suggests he has read about royalty but never actually met a king. There is a large, ruffled collar around his neck, Elizabethan in style, stiff and starched. On his head sits a cap, tight and round, emblazoned with a single kanji character that translates to fried rice. It is a detail that undercuts his gravity before he even speaks. He is the physical manifestation of the Napoleon complex, tiny, insecure, and vibrating with an unearned sense of grandeur. He sits alone at the head of the table, his small hands resting on the polished wood, waiting. He is a conqueror of nothing, the emperor of an empty room. Far down the table, so distant they might as well be in a different area code, sit his loyal henchmen. There is Shu, a ninja dog. He is an anthropomorphic Shiba Inu, dressed in the traditional garb of a shinobi, complete with a sword strapped to his back. He sits with the nervous energy of a good boy who is afraid he has done something bad. Beside him is Mai, a woman with long dark hair and a trench coat, looking far too competent for the company she keeps. The silence in the room is heavy, broken only by the sound of silverware clicking against china. It is a lonely image, this tiny blue tyrant separated from his only companions by 30 feet of polished mahogany. The scene shifts, and we witness the peculiar management style of Emperor Pilaf. It seems Shu has failed in some minor, unspecified task, or perhaps Pilaf simply feels the need to assert his dominance to fill the silence of the castle. We find them in a different room now, a chamber designed for discipline. But this is not a dungeon of irons and racks. It is a room of machinery. Pilaf stands safely behind a thick wall of glass, his hands manipulating a control panel with the glee of a child playing a video game. Shu is trapped on the other side. He is locked into a mechanism, a wall that has spun him around, leaving him exposed and vulnerable. The punishment is not physical pain, but indignity. Pilaf speaks, his voice muffled by the glass, grandstanding about failure and respect. He presses a button. A nozzle extends into the chamber where the unfortunate ninja dog is trapped, and then, with a hiss of pressurized air, the gas is released. It is not nerve gas. It is not sleeping gas. It is, to put it plainly, the weaponized flatulence of the Emperor himself, captured and stored for just such an occasion. Let us pause to appreciate the level of pettiness required to engineer such a system. Pilaf had to design the collection method, build the storage tanks, and route the plumbing specifically to this torture chamber. It is a masterpiece of juvenile tyranny. Shu struggles, his canine nose twitching in horror, his eyes watering as the green cloud fills his small prison. Pilaf laughs, a high-pitched sound that bounces off the cold walls. This moment tells us everything we need to know about the stakes of this saga. We are not dealing with a destroyer of worlds. We are dealing with a playground bully who happens to have a castle. It is an adventure, yes, but one where the villain introduces himself with a fart joke rather than a genocide. It is a soft landing into the world of villainy. But the machinery of plot must turn. Mai interrupts the festivities. She bursts into the room, her coat flapping, holding a device that looks like a pocket watch but hums with electronic life. It is a radar, not unlike the one Bulma possesses. She reports a signal. A glow has been detected in Skull Valley. The radar screen blinks, a rhythmic pulse of green light in the dim room. Pilaf's eyes go wide. The pettiness vanishes, replaced by greed. He believes it is a Dragon Ball. He believes his wish, to rule the world, is within reach. The torture is forgotten. Shu is released, coughing and sputtering, his dignity in tatters, an order to prepare the aircraft. The scene transitions to the exterior, the castle's hangar doors groan open, gears grinding against rust. A sleek, spherical aircraft emerges, lifting into the night sky on jets of blue flame. It is a marvel of engineering, a silver bubble of technology rising above the ancient breathing mushrooms. Inside, Shu and Mai pilot the craft, their faces illuminated by the dashboard lights. Pilaf stays behind, of course. That is the prerogative of management. Miles away, in the rugged terrain of Skull Valley, the night is quiet. The wind whispers through the dry grass, rattling the seed pods. Here we find Goku. He is alone, prowling the landscape. He is not searching for Dragon Balls or glory. He is searching for dinner. His stomach rumbles, a low, resonant sound that competes with the wind. He moves with the easy, loose-limbed grace of a predator, his tail swaying behind him for balance. He stops, tilting his head. Above him, a sound cuts through the silence. It is the whine of jet engines. Goku looks up. He sees the silver craft of the Pilaf gang soaring against the backdrop of the moon. In his mind, there is no concept of aerodynamics or combustion engines. He sees wings. He sees a body. He sees a bird. A giant, shiny, loud bird. And birds are meat. A grin spreads across his face. It is the innocent, hungry grin of a child who has just spotted a cookie jar. That bird looks tasty, he thinks. He reaches behind his back and draws his weapon, the power pole. The red lacquered wood gleams in the moonlight. He crouches, his muscles coiling like springs, storing potential energy. Then he launches himself. The jump is impossible by our standards, but for him, it is effortless. He ascends, a small orange blur rising to meet the machine. He screams a command to the pole and the magic wood obeys, extending, lengthening, shooting upward like a growing bamboo stalk on fast forward. The tip of the pole meets the underbelly of the aircraft. There is no explosion, just a solid, heavy crunch of wood impacting metal. The force of the blow reverberates through the frame of the jet. Inside, alarms blare, a cacophony of red lights and sirens. Shu and Mai panic, pulling on yokes that no longer respond. The bird has been mortally wounded. Smoke begins to trail from the engine, a dark ribbon against the stars. The aircraft dips, spirals, and begins its descent, crashing into the valley floor with the grinding scream of tearing alloy. Goku lands lightly on his feet, the dust settling around his sandals. He approaches the wreckage, expecting a carcass. Instead, he finds confusion. The crash site is a mess of twisted metal and hissing steam. Shu and Mai stumble out of the smoke, coughing, disoriented, their high-tech superiority reduced to scrap in seconds. But before they can process who or what brought them down, the darkness around them shifts. The glow that the radar detected was not a Dragon Ball. The radar had been picking up a faint energy signature, yes, but the visual confirmation was a mistake. In the shadows of the valley rocks, pairs of eyes ignite. Yellow, hungry eyes. A low growl starts, a vibration that could be felt in the chest. A pack of wolves emerges from the gloom. They are lean, grey, and desperate. They encircle the crash site, their lips curling back to reveal white teeth. Shu and Mai are terrified. Shu, despite being a ninja and a dog, seems to have forgotten his martial heritage. He shakes, his sword rattling in its scabbard. Mai reaches for a weapon she doesn't have. They are city villains, unprepared for the brutality of nature. But Goku is home. He looks at the wolves, not with fear, but with recognition. This is his world. The wolves lunge. The movement is a blur of fur and claws. Goku moves to meet them. The fight is swift. It is not a desperate struggle. It is a display of absolute competence. Goku spins, his legs sweeping out in a perfect arc. He connects with the lead wolf, the impact dull and heavy. He dodges a snapping jaw with a tilt of his head, barely breaking a sweat. He strikes with his palms, short, controlled bursts of energy. It is brutal, yes. There is the sound of bodies hitting the hard earth, of yelps cut short, but there is a calmness to it. Goku is not angry. He is simply participating in the food chain. He dispatches the pack with the efficiency of a gardener pruning a hedge. The wolves that can run, do. The ones that cannot, lie still. Shu and Mai watch this small boy, this child with the tail, dismantling a pack of apex predators. The fear shifts. They are no longer afraid of the wolves. They are afraid of the rescuer. "You guys okay?" Goku asks, his voice cheerful, totally at odds with the violence that just occurred. He isn't trying to be a hero. He just assumes they were competing for the same meal. Shu and Mai do not answer. They scramble backward, tripping over rocks, their nerve completely broken. They turn and run, fleeing into the night, abandoning their mission, their dignity, and their ship. They choose the long walk back to the mushroom forest over one more minute in the presence of this monster child. Goku watches them go, confused by their lack of appetite. He shrugs. More for him. The narrative drifts forward in time. We return to the Capsule House, the yellow, bulbous home of Bulma that sits out of place in the wilderness. The interior is soft, climate-controlled, a bubble of civilization. Bulma is awake, perhaps wondering where her bodyguard has gone. The door opens. Goku enters. He looks proud. He carries the fruits of his labor. Dragging behind him, heavy and limp, is the carcass of one of the wolves. It has been skinned, the raw meat exposed, a visceral reminder of where food comes from. But that is not all. In his other hand, draped over his shoulder like a gruesome scarf, is a giant centipede. It is massive, as thick as a man's arm, with dozens of legs that hang motionless. The chitinous shell glistens under the electric lights of the Capsule House. Goku presents this offering with a smile. "Dinner," he announces. The reaction is immediate. Bulma stares. Her eyes trace the length of the centipede, the segments, the legs. The biological reality of the creature clashes violently with her sanitized, urban sensibilities. A scream builds in her throat, a high, piercing sound that shatters the calm of the evening. She recoils, throwing her hands up, backing away until she hits the wall. She rejects the offering with extreme prejudice. Goku is baffled. He looks at the wolf. He looks at the centipede. It is good meat. It is fresh. He does not understand the problem, but he is a simple soul. If she doesn't want it, he won't force her. We end our scene outside. The capsule house is sealed tight, the lights inside warm and safe. Outside on the dirt, Goku has built a fire. The flames lick at the dry wood, casting dancing shadows against the rocks. He sits cross-legged, content. The wolf meat roasts on a spit, the fat rendering and dripping into the fire with a hiss. The centipede is roasting too, its shell turning brittle and dark. Goku takes a bite. He chews enthusiastically, grease shining on his chin. He looks up at the moon, the same moon that shines in the mushroom forest, on Pilaf's castle, on the fleeing forms of Shu and Mai. The world is big and strange and full of delicious things. He takes another bite, the crunch echoing softly in the quiet night. And as the fire dies down to embers and the stars wheel overhead, we leave him there, full and happy, drifting slowly towards sleep. The sun has not yet risen, but the idea of the sun is beginning to occur to the sky. The deep, velvety indigo of the night is softening, bleeding into a bruised purple at the edges of the horizon. Inside the capsule house, the air is still and recycled, humming with the faint, rhythmic white noise of advanced climate control. It is a bubble of technology in a world of wilderness, a plastic womb keeping the chaos of nature at bay. Bulma sleeps. She is sprawled across the bed, tangled in high thread count sheets that smell of lavender and civilization. Her breathing is steady, a soft metronome marking the passing of time. Her guard is down. She is dreaming, perhaps, of strawberries or boyfriends, or a world where she doesn't have to hunt for magic crystal balls in the company of a feral child. Goku, however, does not sleep like a city dweller. He wakes instantly. One moment he is asleep, and the next his eyes are open, clear and alert. There is no grogginess, no hitting of a snooze button. He sits up. The events of the previous night, the bath, the confusion about biology, the grandfather who is a ball, are still rattling around in his simple, uncluttered mind. He looks at Bulma. He remembers her claim. She said she was a girl. She said she was different. But Goku is a creature of empirical evidence. He trusts his hands and his eyes more than he trusts words. Words are slippery. They change meaning. But physical reality is absolute. He creeps closer. He moves with the silence of a spider walking across a web. He is curious. It is the curiosity of a primatologist in the field, or perhaps a child taking apart a radio to see where the voices come from. He reaches out. Bulma is wearing a pair of panties, a small triangle of white fabric. To Goku, this is merely packaging. It is a wrapper on a candy bar he doesn't recognize. With a gentle, almost surgical precision, he lowers the fabric. He looks. He verifies. He nods to himself. The hypothesis is confirmed. There is nothing there. It is smooth. It is, in his limited vocabulary, empty. He releases the fabric. It snaps back into place with a sound that is too soft to wake her, but loud enough to mark the end of the investigation. But Bulma stirs. The presence of the boy, the shift in the air pressure, or perhaps some primal instinct warns her that she is being observed. Her eyes flutter open. She sees Goku, his face inches from hers, wearing an expression of pure, unadulterated discovery. She screams. It is not a word, it is a vibration. It starts in her diaphragm and rockets upward, shattering the morning calm. It is a sound that sends birds flying from the trees a mile away. She scrambles backward, clutching the sheets to her chest, her heart hammering against her ribs like a trapped bird. "You!" she gasps, her face flushing a deep, angry crimson. "What are you doing?" Goku blinks. He is immune to her outrage because he has no context for it. He points a finger, casual and accusatory. You have no balls, he declares. It is a simple statement of fact. He is using the word balls as a catch-all term for the anatomy he possesses, and she lacks. He is noting a biological difference, but language is a tricky thing. To Bulma, whose mind is singularly focused on her quest, the word balls means only one thing: the Dragon Balls, the wish-granting orbs, the key to a perfect boyfriend. The color drains from her face. The fear of sexual harassment instantly evaporates, replaced by a much more profound terror, the fear of losing her inventory. No balls? She shrieks. My balls are gone? She ignores the fact that her underwear is disheveled. She ignores the boy sitting on her bed. She dives for her fanny pack, her fingers trembling as she rips the zipper open. She frantically counts the orange spheres, the glass clinking softly together. 1, 2. They are there. They are safe. She sags against the wall, letting out a long, shuddering breath. Oh, thank goodness, she whispers. They're safe. She looks at Goku, confusion clouding her eyes. She has completely missed the point. She has missed the invasion of privacy because she is too consumed by her material obsession. It is a moment of profound absurdity. The boy is talking about anatomy. The girl is talking about magic items. They are speaking two entirely different languages, united only by a homonym. Goku shrugs, sliding off the bed. He has satisfied his curiosity. The mystery is solved. Bulma is just flat. It's weird, but he accepts it. He wanders outside. The morning air is crisp and cool, smelling of dew and pine needles. It is time for the morning ritual. While Bulma recovers from a heart attack inside the yellow bubble, Goku begins to train. He moves through the clearing, his small body a blur of orange and black. He punches the air and the air snaps. He kicks high, his foot passing above his head with the flexibility of a gymnast. He is not fighting an enemy. He is fighting gravity, resistance, and his own limitations. He finds a log and balances on it on one finger. He does push-ups until the sweat gleams on his skin like oil. He needs a target. He looks around the rocky landscape of the valley. There are boulders everywhere, gray and weathered, sitting in the grass like sleeping giants. He approaches a large, rounded rock. It is smooth, almost symmetrical. It looks like a good challenge. He assumes a stance, feet wide, knees bent. He focuses his Kai, though he doesn't call it that yet. He calls it strength. He brings his hand down in a chop, aiming to split the stone in two. But the stone is soft. His hand connects, but instead of the jarring shock of bone against granite, there is a dull, hollow thud. And then the rock yelps. Ouch, implies the rock. Goku freezes. He steps back, tilting his head. The rock shudders. Dust falls from its sides, and then, slowly, agonizingly, limbs begin to emerge. 4 wrinkled, scaly legs push out from the shell. A head, leathery and wise, extends on a long neck. It is not a rock. It is a sea turtle. The turtle blinks, its eyes dark and watery, filled with the weary patience of a creature that lives for centuries. It looks at Goku. It does not seem angry about being chopped. It seems merely disappointed. That, the turtle says, his voice sounding like gravel grinding together, was quite rude. Goku is delighted. In his world, fish are huge, birds are planes, and rocks are turtles. You talk, he exclaims. Of course I talk, the turtle replies, shifting his weight. I am Umigame, and I am lost. The turtle explains his predicament. He had come inland to pick mushrooms, a pursuit that seems ill-suited for a marine reptile. But who are we to judge his hobbies? He took a wrong turn, perhaps distracted by a particularly handsome fungus, and has been wandering for days. He is dried out. He is exhausted. He misses the salt. He misses the waves. He is a creature of the deep, stranded in a desert of dirt. Bulma emerges from the house, dressed for the road, her hair tied back with a red ribbon. She sees the turtle. She is unimpressed. To her, this is just another delay, another weird thing in a weird week. The turtle pleads for help. He needs to get back to the sea. The sea? Bulma checks her map, tapping the paper with a manicured nail. That's 100 miles south. We're heading east. Absolutely not. I have a schedule. She is pragmatic. She is cold. She is a teenager on a mission, and a turtle is not a Dragon Ball. She turns to leave. But Goku does not move. He looks at the turtle. He sees the dry, cracking skin. He sees the sadness in those ancient eyes. Goku is a hunter, yes. He eats wolves and centipedes. But he is not cruel. He understands survival, but he also understands kindness. There is no calculation in his mind. He does not ask what the turtle can do for him. He does not ask for a reward. He simply crouches down. "I'll take you," Goku says. "You." Bulma laughs. "You're a kid. That thing weighs 300 pounds. Goku does not answer with words. He slides his hands under the rim of the shell. He grunts, a low, guttural sound of exertion. The muscles in his small legs bunch and cord. The ground beneath his sandals depresses an inch, and then he stands. He lifts the massive creature onto his back. The turtle hovers there, looking like a giant, leathery backpack. Goku adjusts his grip. He is not struggling. He is stable. "Let's go," he says to the turtle. This is the pivot. This is the moment the story shifts. Until now, Goku has been a force of nature, a wild thing reacting to stimuli. He fought because he was hungry. He fought because he was attacked. But here, he chooses a burden. He chooses to expend energy for the sake of another. It is the birth of the hero, disguised as a boy carrying a reptile. Bulma watches him start to walk. She watches his small form retreating into the distance, the massive shell swaying with his steps. She looks at her motorcycle. She looks at the empty campsite. She looks at the menacing silence of the valley. She realizes she cannot stay here alone. And perhaps, just perhaps, she feels a small, sharp prick of shame. She sighs, a long, dramatic exhalation that flutters her bangs. She kicks, starts the bike, the engine roaring to life, and speeds after him. The journey begins. It was a montage of motion. The sun climbs higher, baking the earth. Goku runs. He does not walk. He runs. His stride is rhythmic, a steady pounding against the dirt. He carries the turtle as if it were a bag of feathers. The turtle holds on, his head bobbing, offering directions that are mostly anecdotes about kelp. Bulma rides alongside, her hair whipping in the wind, shouting complaints that disappear into the vastness of the landscape. They pass through canyons of red rock. They cross fields of tall golden grass that shimmer like an inland sea. The miles fall away. But the road is not empty. As they round a bend, the path is blocked. Standing in the middle of the trail is a giant. It is a bear, but it stands on two legs, towering over them like a furry monument to aggression. He wears a vest. He carries a sword that looks like it was torn from the side of a tank. This is the bear thief. He is looking for a snack, and a turtle on the half shell seems to be on the menu. Bulma screeches to a halt, the bike skidding in the dust. She screams again. It is becoming her catchphrase. The turtle pulls his head into his shell, terrified. Goku stops. He does not put the turtle down. He stands there, balancing his burden, and looks up at the bear. The bear roars, a sound wet with saliva and hunger. He raises the sword. "I'm gonna eat that turtle!" The bear growls. No, Goku says. It is a quiet refusal. The bear swings. The sword comes down, a streak of silver light. Goku moves. He doesn't drop the turtle. He moves with it. He dodges to the side, the blade slicing the air where he had been a fraction of a second before. The weight on his back should make him slow, but it only seems to ground him, to give him traction. You're mean, Goku observes. He sets his feet. He decides to use a technique his grandfather taught him. It is a game, but in his hands, it is a weapon. He shouts the words. Jen. He draws his hand back. Ken. He focuses his energy. Gu. Rock. He throws a punch, but it is not just a punch. It is a collision of physics and intent. His small fist, hardened by years of punching trees and breaking logs, connects with the bear's snout. The impact is sickeningly solid. It is the sound of a meat mallet hitting a steak. The bear does not stumble. He flies. The force of the blow lifts the massive beast off his feet. He arcs through the air, sword spinning from his grasp, and crashes into a pile of rocks 20 feet away. The dust billows up, obscuring the defeat. The bear does not get up. He groans, clutching his nose, his career as a thief ended by a child playing a hand game. Goku shakes his hand out. Rock beats bear, he murmurs, inventing his own rules. He adjusts the turtle on his back. You okay, turtle? I am quite dizzy, the turtle's voice echoes from inside the shell. But I am uneaten. Thank you. They continue. The sun begins to dip past its zenith. The air changes. The dry, dusty smell of the plains fades. It is replaced by something sharper, cleaner. The smell of brine. The smell of wet sand. The smell of iodine and vastness. The horizon turns blue, a different blue than the sky. A flat, shimmering line stretches out before them. Goku stops. He breathes in. He has never seen this much water in one place. It is terrifying. It is beautiful. Is that it? He asks. Yes, the turtle says, popping his head out, sniffing the breeze with a look of pure rapture. That is the home of the infinite. That is the sea. They stand there on the cliff's edge, looking down at the white foam crashing against the rocks. The journey is paused, suspended between the land and the water. Somewhere down there, an old man lives on an island. Somewhere down there, a cloud is waiting to be ridden. But for now, there is just the wind, the waves, and the boy who carried a turtle because it was the right thing to do. Close your eyes. Hear the waves. Let the rhythm of the water match the rhythm of your breath. Good night.